Don't worry if you haven't been following the NHL in the past few months, we've got you covered. Here's your chance to find out what's been going on, including hirings, firings, signings, predictions, and even a big trade. All of this is in our guide for old fans to the 2022-2023 season. So, without further ado, here are our predictions for the 2022-2023 season. First, the Ottawa Senators to make the playoffs, while Coyotes University isn't an absolute dumpster fire. Since 2017, when they last made the playoffs, the Ottawa Senators have been going through one of the strangest attempts at a rebuild. You know it's bad when the only reason I'm even calling it a rebuild is that at this time last year, GM Pierre Dorian said that not only was a rebuild happening, but it was already over. The bad news is that it wasn't. At the end of the season, the Senators were 26th in the league. At least, while the NHL team was falling apart, through no fault of the remaining players, the organization was building up a pipeline of some pretty exciting potential stars. And wouldn't you know it, after giving up one of their favorite players, cap space, the Senators had one of the best off-seasons in the league, adding players like Claude Giroux, Alex DeBrincat, and Cam Talbot. Is the rebuilding done for good now? I'm not sure for sure, and I'll never say I know how the Ottawa Senators work on the inside, but things look good. Listen, the fact that the Arizona Coyotes will play for at least the next few years in a 5,000-person college hockey arena is a failure on many levels, but at this point we get it. We've read all the think pieces, tweeted all the jokes, and rolled our eyes at the pearl clutch and relocation columns in the Canadian media. Now that we've come to terms with how things are, we can try to make the best of them. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid growing up in the Boston area, I fell in love with this sport by going to college hockey games. There's nothing better than a crowded arena with a few thousand people who want to be there. It feels like, one of the best kept secrets and didn't even know it. Not only could the close-knit atmosphere inspire some young Arizonans to start playing, but it could also give the team that has a lot of setbacks a reason to get up every day and try again. Also, who wouldn't want to go to a hockey game at a place called Mullet Arena? Next, Matt Murray succeeds in Toronto, while Moritz Seider wins the Norris. I'll start by saying that different people have different ideas about what it means for the Toronto Maple Leafs to succeed. This is not a will they or won't they get out of the first round prediction, and for the record, I don't consider getting out of the tournament in the second round a success. Neither do I think they do. This is more about where Murray's career is going and what he could do for the Leafs. Murray's Penguins career got off to a good start, but he's had a few bad years since then, and he hasn't been able to get back to the form that won him the cup twice. Sharing a net with Marc-Andre Fleury and being a part of the Penguins dynasty definitely helped Murray win the cup, but he wasn't just a passenger in that effort. He hasn't had a good run with the Senators lately, but who can blame him? He also talked openly about how hard it was for him to lose his father in 2018. He's shown that he can handle being in the spotlight, and the Leafs are doing better than ever. This seems like the best chance Murray, who's now 28 years old, has to turn his career around, and I think he can do it. I don't think he or anyone else will be enough to get the Leafs out of the first round on their own, but if they don't make it, I think he will be low on the list of people to blame. This is a good example of a moderate point of view that I feel so strongly about that it gets kind of hot. Yes, Seider won the Calder Trophy last year, and now everyone is keeping an eye on him. Yes, everyone thinks that he will only get better. He's probably on most people's Norris watch list before the season starts, but how many people think that he will win it all? Add me to that list. We live in a golden age of young defensemen who can score points, and let's be honest, the Norris winner has become a defenseman who can score a lot of points. I think Seider will be the perfect mix of the modern defenseman who scores a lot of goals and the big tough guy who blocks shots. A player like that is liked by everyone. Moving on, Elias Pettersson has the best or worst season of his career. Also, the Johnny Hockey fallout. Is this a trench coat with several hot takes piled on top of each other? Maybe. After a rough start and a wrist injury that kept him out for a while, the 23-year-old Pettersson had his best season ever in 2021-2022. He played in 80 games, scored 32 goals, and had 68 points, all of which were career highs. He scored fewer points per game than usual, but he went off at the end of the season, which is a good sign for 2022-2023. But the Canucks won't be messing around next season, and JT Miller's season in 2021-22 will give them some healthy competition in the middle. Maybe the Canucks put Pettersson on the second line, where he doesn't have to face the best defenseman, and he does well. Or maybe the competition works in his favor, and he wins the center spot on the first line and does well there. Or maybe Pettersson loses his edge with less time on the ice. There are so many different ways that his next season could go, which is why I think it's so important for him to have a career year. Johnny Gaudreau, a winger for the Calgary Flames, was the most sought-after player in NHL free agency. He had just finished a season with 115 points and a fourth-place finish in MVP voting. When the 29-year-old told the Flames that he wasn't coming back for another contract, many people thought the South Jersey native would go to the Philadelphia Flyers or New Jersey Devils, but the Flyers couldn't move enough money from the salary cap to sign him, and Gaudreau chose the Columbus Blue Jackets over the New Jersey Devils. He signed a 7-year deal with the Blue Jackets worth an average of $9.75 million per year. Back in Calgary, this choice set off a chain of events. Forward Matthew Tkachuk, whose contract had 1 year left, also told the Flames
claims that he wouldn't sign another one. In a rare NHL blockbuster sign and trade, Calgary's GM, Brad Treveling, sent 24-year-old center Matthew Tkachuk to the Florida Panthers in exchange for star left wing Jonathan Huberdeau and defensiveman Mackenzie Weegar. Tkachuk signed an 8-year deal worth $76 million. Lastly, the Flames signed Colorado center Nazem Kadri to a 7-year, $49 million free agent deal to replace Tkachuk's scoring and aggressive play, all because Johnny Hockey got ready to move to the United States. Finally, bands were kept together while a veteran Blue Liners say goodbye. When the Pittsburgh Penguins lost Game 7 to the New York Rangers, it was the 4th year in a row that they didn't get past the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Their future together was uncertain because a few key players like center Evgeny Malkin, defenseman Chris Letting, and forward Brian Rust were going to be free agents. But GM Ron Hextall kept the band together in some way. In May, Rust signed a contract for 6 years. Letting, who is 35 years old, got a 6-year extension next. That left Malkin, whose talks with the team were so hard that he vowed to see what would happen if he was a free agent. Not long after that, Malkin got a 4-year contract extension. Captain Sidney Crosby told ESPN, "I was relieved, and I thought right away, okay, we have a chance. These guys are going to stay. We have to do something with it now." In Boston, center Patrice Bergeron decided to come back for another season on a 1-year deal. He'll get to play with center David Krejci again, who played for the Bruins last season but is now back with the Czech team. A few star defensemen retired from the NHL. Zdeno Chara, a 6'9" defenseman who played for the Boston Bruins and won a Stanley Cup and a Norris Trophy, quit the NHL after 24 years. Last season, the 54-year-old man played for the New York Islanders. PK Subban, who is 33 years old, stopped playing hockey after 13 years with the Montreal Canadiens, the Nashville Predators, and the New Jersey Devils. This season, look for PK's places on ESPN+. Keith Yandel, a defenseman for the Philadelphia Flyers, broke Doug Jarvis's NHL record by playing in his 965th straight game last season. He then retired after 16 seasons. Duncan Keith, a defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers, finally quit before the end of the 13th year of his contract. Keith played for the Chicago Blackhawks and won 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Norris trophies, and the Conn Smythe for the most valuable player in the playoffs. Unfortunately, guys, that is all the time we have for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and until next time, cheers!